Welcome back. In this lesson, we are considering another useful data structure in Python called dictionaries. Unlike tuples and lists, which store items in a sequence, dictionaries allow you to store data in pairs. Each item has a key and a value. Okay, so you can think of a dictionary like a real-world dictionary, where each word is associated with a definition. Okay, so the word now is the key and the definition is the value. A dictionary in Python is a collection of key-value pairs. Each key acts as a unique identifier and the value is the data that is associated with that key. Alright, just like the contact list on your phone, each name is a key and the associated phone number is the value. Instead of searching through a list of phone numbers, you simply look up the name to get the number. So, how do we create dictionaries? If you can remember, a list uses square brackets to create it and a tuple uses parentheses, but dictionary uses curly braces. So to create a dictionary, we use curly braces to enclose the key value pairs. Alright, so for example, let's say we want to create an empty dictionary. We can call this my dict, right? So that's my dictionary in short. To create it, we use curly braces. And another way to create an empty dictionary is using the dictionary constructor function. So both of these lines will create an empty dictionary. Okay, so let's check the type, or we can as well print that. Let's check the type of my dict. So we have my dict. Okay, so if I run that, you can see that I have the type to be dict, which is short form for dictionary. Now let's create a dictionary that actually has contents. Okay, so we can minimize this. Let's get rid of this line. Okay, so let's say we want to create a dictionary of students. All right. Okay, so we are going to have curly braces, and then to create content of a dictionary, each item in the dictionary has a key and it has a value. Okay, so let's say we want to have a name. So we have the name as the key. Then we are going to have a value of that key. Okay, so let's say the name of our student is Toyosi, for example. That's my first name. Okay, let's say we want to add age also. So we are going to have a string as a key. So we have age. All right. And then we are going to have the value. So let's say our student is 17 years old. All right. And let's say we want to add the major of our students to the details. Okay. So we can say our student is majoring in electrical engineering, right? Or you can say computer science, whatever. Okay, so now this is just a typical example of a dictionary. Inside of a dictionary, you have the key and then you have the value. You have a key, you have value, you have key, you have value. You can add as many items as you want in a dictionary. Each item is going to have a key, which is the identifier, and then it's going to have a value that is associated with that key. All right, so how do you access the values in a dictionary? To access values in a dictionary, you use the square bracket method and then you provide the key of the value you want to access, right? Just like we have with list with tuples that we use square brackets to access their values, we can also use square brackets to access the values of a dictionary. Okay, so let's say we want to access the student's name now. So we are going to have student followed by a square bracket. And then we are going to pass the key that we want to access. Okay, so let's print the student's name now. Okay, we can assign this to a variable. Let's call it student, or say student's name is equal to this. So we can print student's name now, right? So if I run this, so I have my student's name to be Toyosi. Okay, so this is how you access the values in a dictionary. Let's say we want to access the student's age, so we can as well assign that to a variable. So we can say student age is equal to, so we're going to have student, which is the name of our dictionary. So we have students followed by square bracket, and then we're going to provide the age. Okay, so and you can also print this directly. You don't have to assign it to a variable. Let's print our student's age now. Okay, so if I run that, so we have student's age to be 17. Now, if you try to access a key that is not existing, if you want to access a value that is not existing, you are going to run into key error. Okay, So now I have name, I have age, I have major. What can I access that is not on this dictionary? Oh, thinking of something to access. So I have students, name of my dictionary. Okay, let's say I want to access the height of my student, right? If I run this now, I'm going to run it to key error because height does not exist in this dictionary. Now, there are times that you might be fetching data from an external data source and you don't know if a property will be existing in a dictionary. Okay, so if you want to make a safe check, or if you want to get a value from a dictionary, you want to get that safely so that it's not going to crash your program, there is a method you can use to safeguard a value from a dictionary. Okay, so in case if the value is not existing, it is not going to return the key error like we just have. So that method is called the get method. Okay, so for example, now that we don't have height in the student's dictionary, let's say we are fetching student's dictionary from a third party source and we don't know if it's going to be present. So to get that, we use the get method. So you are going to say student.get, right? And then you are going to provide the property that you want to get. So if the property is not present, it is not going to raise a key error like we have in the other time. Okay, so let me print this now. I'm going to print this. I print this now. We have print. Okay, if I run this now, what do we have? Okay, so you see now that it doesn't raise any error. So if the property is not existing, it's going to return none by default. But if the property is existing, let's say I want to access name. Okay, if the property is existing, it's going to return the value of that property. Okay, if it is not existing, it will return none by default rather than raising error. Okay, if I run this, so rather than raising error, it's going to return none. And you can also specify the default value to be returned if you don't want it to return none. So let's say as height is not present, so rather than return none, I want to return not found. So can provide the value. This is going to serve as the default value in case that property is not existing in the dictionary. If I run this now, so I'm going to have not found instead of none, right? So this is how you provide default value for properties that are not existing in the dictionary. You can also add items to your dictionary. Okay, so after you've created your dictionary, you can also add additional items to the dictionary. Just like now that we are looking for height, we can also add height to the dictionary. Okay, so to add an item to a dictionary, okay, you have the name of the dictionary followed by your curly braces, and then you provide the key of the property that you want to add. Now we want to add height, so we are going to say student height is equal to 2.1 meters. All right, now if you try to get the height now, so we are not going to have not found, it's going to give us 2.1. okay, so if we print students now, okay, so if I run this now, so we have students to be this, and then we have the heights to be 2.1. okay, so this is how you add items dynamically to your dictionary. Okay, you can also delete items from your dictionary. To delete items, we use the pop method. Okay, let me comment this out. We use the pop method just like we have with list. Okay, so I'm going to have students, all right, dot pop. Let's say I want to remove, or let's say I want to remove age from my student dictionary. So I'm going to provide age. Okay, so this is the difference with pop, with dictionary and list. You know, with list, you provide the index of the item you want to remove. But with dictionary, you provide the key, okay? And with dictionary, it is very compulsory that you provide the key. You know, in a list, if you don't provide the index, the last item will be removed. But with dictionary, it is very compulsory that you provide the key of the item you want to remove. Okay, now let's run this. You are going to see that age has been removed from my student dictionary because I use the pop method. If I don't provide the item I want to remove, I don't provide the key, I'm going to run it to type error, right? So you have to provide the key compulsorily when you are dealing with dictionary. You can also use the delete keyword to delete a property from a list. Okay, so to do that, let's comment this out. So I'm going to comment this line. So let's use the delete keyword. So we have the delete keyword by del. All right, so you are going to have the name of the dictionary followed by the property that you want to delete, the key that you want to delete. So we want to delete age. All right, if we run this now, we're going to see that age has been deleted from a dictionary.